Well, it finally happened. We broke the 755. Let me give you a sneak peek of what we're dealing with here. She's in two-wheel drive right now. Did you listen to it? Oh, there you go. Now we'll start with getting the wheel off. Trowel is really important. That's my tripod because you're on a magnet. We'll start with getting the wheel off. Here's the thing. If you like running older equipment and you like running it as hard as what I do, but you're afraid to get your hands dirty and you don't want to work on things, listen, you just need to keep her right about there, okay? But if you're like me and you don't mind tearing things apart every now and then, run her wide open, bud, and fix her when she breaks. All right, we're gonna get the correct socket. Well, I could pressure wash it off if you've got such luxuries. I don't have water over here at the barn. And we'll just spruce her up like this. The tap should go a long way here, trying to keep it from dropping in the bucket though. There she's coming. Holy heck, there's oil in there. Well, that's exciting. Oh! Oh man, there's a lot of glitter in there. That's good. It means it attracts the fish. We turned her into a fishing boat. Oh yeah. So I like to see. So I actually just replaced some of this stuff not too long ago. Like this bearing. And it doesn't look too bad as long as we get her cleaned out so there's not, you know, a bunch of metal shavings in there. I think she'll be okay. And then we'll just package that up nice and neat. That way it blends in with the paper towel trash on the workbench, and I'll likely just throw it away. I thought I was going to see some issues right here, but I really don't. And I thought I was going to see some broken teeth, but I don't. Well, I can see some metal shavings. I just don't know where they're coming from. All right, let's get this popped off. We're getting in there. I think some hefty hits should get us loose. See her breaking loose there? Oh. Oh, there she goes. Sounds like our problem might be a little deeper in it. So one thing we definitely want to check, we're going to get into here because that's where the problem is, but that bearing doesn't free spin right now because it's got chunks of metal that's made their way down into there. So we're going to want to make sure we get that out and get it cleaned up really well. We're going to pop this castle nut off this tie rod next, and then we're going to take this off the top side. Yeah, it wasn't really on there all that bad. Normally a few taps from the side will kind of shock it out of there. And in shocking that, that is in fact ready to come off. Now last time I did this, I did not replace any of these seals. So I do believe, you can see I got some leakage here. I do believe I'm gonna do that this time around. Just seems like a good opportunity. All right, the next step is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're gonna pull this off. I just put that in there with the vice grips and tapped it. She pulled right out. So I'm just stacking this in the inverted order that everything comes out. And there's a snap ring next. There we go. Oh yeah. All right. Oh yeah. Now we just got to figure out what it is. All right, so we've got new John Deere parts. We've got the old parts, the stuff we're going to use. A little bit of gear oil for reassembly. I always get my parts from Weingart. It's not a partnership or sponsorship. They just, honestly, they just have the best online parts diagrams, and it's so easy to find what I need. But they always do a good job. Looks like old Bill got her packaged up for us. So this is the replacement to the main part that failed. But I also picked up a few new bearings as well. We've got this new O-ring, which will go right there, and a couple new seals, and this collar. So before we get carried away on the reassembly, we're going to clean this out really well. I just got some spray brake cleaner, but I don't know if you can tell. There's just a whole bunch of chunks of metal down there, and if we leave all that in there, throw the oil in and fire it up, it's going to trash any of the new bearings that we got. I kept all the parts I'm going to use wrapped up with oil on them. Just keeps them from rusting up while you're waiting. They look pretty good. So for this piece, I ordered a new bearing, and a new seal. We're going to reuse the washer and a snap ring. This is the order operations. Bearing, washer, snap ring, bearing, seal, spring side, the open side, towards the pressure side. Like that. Now these bearings are supposed to be pressed in. I do not own a press. You're about to see a very shade tree technique. Oh yeah. This is happening. Got the bearing there, got the washer on it, between the washer and the jack. Listen, bench presses or shop presses, whatever they're called, pretty inexpensive. They're worth the money. Why I don't have one, I don't know. I need to take that off. Now that's got to go quite a bit further than that, but I got to reset with a socket because that's going to be too fat for it. So I'm pushing on that washer, which goes inside there like that. And then I'm going to rotate that opening towards me, because then I can kind of gauge on the inside if I'm deep enough, or accuracy is what matters in a setup like this. So that bearing comes just past, oh, got a little paper towel in there yet, I got to clean up. Our bearing comes just past. Gives just enough room. The washer's still in there, and you can see the groove for the snap ring is next. So this spindle, shoulder up like that. It's going to come in and that gear goes on it. Easiest way I've found to do this is to put the gear in there, just let her rattle around, hold it upright, give her some twists, little ups and downs, and then eventually she'll line up on there. And then that needs to go into that bearing. In my fancy shop, oh no, my shop press is too tall. Hold on. So now we're pressed up tight against that washer and that snap ring like we should be. Everything looks good, feels good. It should be free, it shouldn't feel seized up or anything. This bearing is next. Goes down on top of that snap ring. Let's put some oil on it. I don't know if it's supposed to slide in that easy, but it did just slide right in, so all right then. And then this seal is next. Open side, spring side towards the pressure, which will be that way. I'm gonna put some oil on it though. We'll tap that in. You can use a socket if you want. Now I did order a new O-ring for this, so we're gonna pull this old one off. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit. So this piece is next, and listen, this piece doesn't look great, obviously. But these are like 150 bucks, so we're gonna run it until it's really not great. And it's just gonna go back on there. Oh, no, now that's gotta stay intact there, bud. You got it, there you go. You gotta leave that on there. If a fella's got the money, you probably ought to replace it. Betting it doesn't take a lot for it to go back in. Actually went in pretty easy. I just took a block of wood and hammer and tapped her, and she just kind of shot where she wanted to. Now you hear this chatter? That's the imperfections on those teeth we're hearing. And it's gonna be a song we're gonna have to get used to listening to. You gotta get those splines to match up, but I'm twisting the shaft on the bottom here. I'm thinking that'll go on pretty easy. Go. Give her some twists. There she goes. Now we gotta get these bolts in. stuff that in there for now so we don't drop a bunch of dirt down that hole. What I'm going to do, see that gap? Yeah, there's that gap right there. I'm going to go around and just snug these up till that gap closes. And then we'll get them tightened down. Try to close it evenly too. This is the next piece in the puzzle. That's supposed to sit down in there. The smaller diameter goes into the bearing. The large diameter should go into the seal. We're going to throw some oil on it. So there's a bearing, snap ring, and stuff down here. I did not order any new bearings for there. Honestly, they felt okay. I'm going to clean them out a little better, but I did order a new seal to replace this one right here. Now this piece, which goes on right there, I don't know if you can see it, with the shadow, it was down in there, and I popped that out thinking it was a seal. It wasn't, and I kind of mangled it, and then I kind of mangled it back into something. Well, that's what we're doing. Seal's down in there, looks right. So the next step is this bearing goes down inside there, right there at the bottom. Now there was quite a bit of debris in there, so I really had to take my time and make sure that was all cleaned out so that bearing can sit down in there the way it needs to. I'm sure it's supposed to be pressed in there, but I'm going to do a little bit of a magic trick instead. Real life mechanics and stuff, they're not going to like this episode. And that's okay. Anywho, putting that gear on top of it, and I'm just going to take this 3/4 extension, slide it right down the hole because it fits pretty well. And we're just going to a gentle beating into place. That's it. That's all it took. She's where she needs to go. And now we got to get this whole thing. Now, the trickiest part I had whenever I redid these bearings was getting that lined up on that spline and getting the whole thing to slide up on there right. And we'll see how that goes. There are obviously these two bolts, and I got these two dowels that go. See the holes right there? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Put a little oil in that. Maybe it'll help things. Maybe not. Because you got to get... There it goes. Oh man, she lined up great. I'm just going to pull this up real slow and even, just going back and forth until that gap is gone. Feels pretty nice. It doesn't feels tight, you know, it doesn't feel sloppy, which we just replaced this one as well. So I was hoping we didn't trash it with the metal shavings, which we still might inevitably trash all of this with the metal shavings in the future, but you know, here we are, right? All right, there's a gasket right here. There's a gasket right here, and this one looks to be fine. Not gonna replace it, but we are gonna clean this lip off to make sure we're not putting anything between here in that gasket. There's a specific way this goes. There it is, just like it, right? No, another rotation. There it is. You'd think it's the same all the way around, but it is not. Nope, that's still not it. Okay, what about now? That's it. That's good, because one more rotation would have been all the way around. All right, I ran out of time yesterday evening, but we're gonna get her buttoned up today, and we'll put her to the test. The manual says 38 foot-pounds in a crossing pattern. I also learned something funny in the manual I'll have to show you here. Remember I was saying this is very orientation specific? The manual says, sure enough there sure is, that there's an arrow that shows you what side goes up. It's amazing what reading can teach you. I don't know, man. I got her all put back together. Let's put her to the test, and then I'm going to add a disclaimer at the end of this. So it seems to be okay. It goes in and out of four-wheel drive fine. I did a little bit of weight on it and dumping it on the fire. Nothing crazy, but there's no popping, there's no cracking, and the tire free spins before it would lock up just after a few feet. So I think it's okay. But here's the disclaimer. I'm not saying this is the right way to do this. If a fella has the money and you got the time and you want to replace more gears in there, like that one I didn't replace, it was kind of chewed up, or you want to replace more of those seals or bearings, I think that's a great idea. It's almost impossible to get all those little chunks of metal out of there, and any little piece of glitter left in there is just going to act like sandpaper on those bearings. So the disclaimer I wanted to give here, remember I ran turf tires forever, then I finally just took an oscillating tool and cut these tires for just a little bit more traction. One of the reasons I loved turf tires, the joke I always made, is that tire is like another clutch. If I was pushing hard on something, the tire was going to give, the traction was going to give, that would spin. But now with a little bit more traction, whenever I push it harder than what this little tractor was designed for, when the tire catches, something further up the line is going to give, and it was the tooth on that little gear. Just something to think about when a fella's shopping for tires. I'm happy with what I have on there. I'm happy with the setup now, and I don't think I'm going to go any more aggressive on the tires. Hope you guys are enjoying this new channel. Hope you're enjoying the content on Facebook if that's where you're watching it. I hope you're enjoying all of it. I really, truly do. You guys have an awesome day, man.